Good morning, my amazing 116 group and some of our people from our network, Global Alliance, Integrity Network. Thank you for being here. We got a special guest at our team meeting today, and I wanted to invite you guys over. We got Marshall. I'll call him Marshall Live. I think that sounds better. Marshall, and Marshall, I'll let you introduce yourself, man. I think I would do you a disservice if I tried. I think you're muted, buddy.
No.
Marshall, you're muted.
There we go. Yo,
There we
what's
go.
going on, everybody? Good morning. I only use Zoom like 9 times a day, every day of the week. So I don't know why I'm having so much trouble, but it's definitely an honor to be here with you, Eli. Thank you so much for inviting me. And all the what is going on with my Zoom? Sorry, guys. Thanks for inviting me into the group, though, Eli, and all the really cool things that you are all up to. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Marshall Live, like Eli stated. I am a speaker trainer and an award-winning speaker. In 2017, I've been working inside of a company that I built called Top Paid Speaker, and we have generated our clients more than 9 figures just by helping them tell stories and learn how to leverage the marketing channel such as public speaking. And so that's what I live to do, is tell stories. I believe that everybody has a story, and I believe that that story has the ability to change not only your life, but the lives of people that you tell it to. And so before we get in here, I just want to make sure I'm in the right room before we get in. How many of you watching this right now, just raise your hand so I can see you. How many of you guys feel like you have a story to tell in some sort? What did you just start off as the awesome EXP realtor, or is there a story about who you were before you became you that got you here? Yeah, looks like, okay. So I'm not the only one. I just want to make sure. Perfect. And then I can't see usually. Oh my, how do you usually do these meetings, Eli? How do you guys usually go about them? Is Eli still there?
What do you mean? I'm here. I'm here.
Cool. So how do you guys like to go about these meetings? How do you like to do them? Do we come in and just share some incredible value for everybody, get everybody fired up? How do you guys facilitate these?
Man,
usually? You guys want me just to go to work?
I like interactive. I like to have a conversation. I don't
Cool.
like to have a speaker just speak. I mean, if I want you to
Cool.
share value, but I also want people to ask questions. I'll ask you what questions come up to me as well.
Cool.
So yeah, take the mic.
Yeah, awesome. Well, first and foremost, just so you guys know, like I said, my name is Marshall Gillen. I'm not going to bore you with my story, but I'll tell you a little bit of a background to give you some context. And then I want to open up the floor because I want to make this as valuable as possible to everybody else. And so let's not make it quite as abstract. Yes, I do speaking. Yes, I teach that, but let's make this apply to you, your industry, and what we're doing on this call. So first and foremost, if you guys don't notice, Eli, I just noticed my eyes are super red. Like I looked out here, I look like I just smoked a whole bunch of reefer and I don't smoke. So I was like, looking here at my eyes. For those of you who don't know, me and my fiance, we run events, and I live here in Montana. And last night, one of our VIP guests to her women's retreat, the flight was all wonky. Flights are closed down all across the country, and we had to drive 2.5 hours to pick this VIP client up from an airport that was open, drive back up here in the freezing ice and the snow. And I got to bed like 4 hours ago, and so I'm like looking at you guys, and I'm realizing how tired I look. Now, I'm telling you guys that story for a reason. How many of you guys have ever felt so tired, but still had to get up and do something? Like still had to push through for your mission and dream? Like, honestly, how many of you ever felt like that? Right. The reason I'm telling you that is because as silly as that seems, what I just did with you is I just created relatability. It may seem like such an obsolete, like, oh my God, like, why is this guy telling me this story? But first and foremost, I'm coming into the room, I'm sharing some energy with you, and I'm making myself relatable. Now, that story obviously is kind of just out there, but I'm making examples. We get into this talk that there's 3 things that we want to be able to create as a brand. So you're going to want to grab a pen and a paper. I'm going to throw a lot at you as I unwind this. And I want to talk about storytelling and relatability when it comes to personal branding. Now, you all are very smart. You're all very successful. And I'm assuming that most of you all know exactly what a personal brand is. So that's where we're going to start, with a personal brand. When I am working with my clients inside a top paid speaker, they are usually people who earn multiple 6 figures, but they want to tell a story. They want to create change in the world. And typically they want to create something that helps the old version of themselves break free or break out of the life that they're in. And so what you're going to hear me say a lot through this talk is that your mess is your message. Okay, your mess is your message. So let me break this down for you real quick. When I was 2 years old, my father walked out of my house. He beat the hell out of my mom. He was a severe alcoholic, and he left. When I was 4, My mom was remarried to a stepfather who used to tell me how worthless I was every single day from the time I was 4 until, well, I'm 38 now, and that man still hates me. And no matter what I did in my life, it was never good enough for either of my dads to care. And so when I was young and in school, I excelled at everything. I won at everything. And no matter what I did, I couldn't get any of those men to care. So by the time I graduated high school, I had a severe drug addiction, severe alcohol addiction. And I left my hometown and I moved 2,000 miles away to California. The reason I'm telling you this is because at the age of 23, my trauma and all the things I'd been through, it finally caused me to make some decisions I wasn't very happy with, and I attempted my life. Now, obviously, lo and behold, I made it. Here I am. However, I was pretty ashamed and I was pretty embarrassed. And I really felt guilty about what I had chose to try to do to myself. And so I didn't tell anybody. I didn't want to hurt myself anymore, but I also didn't want to live anymore. I actually got this really terrible tattoo on my chest. It says live fast, die fun. I was like, I'm just going to live so fast and so hard that maybe one day I'll die. Along that time, I met a guy who changed my life. He was a best friend of mine. He was about 4 years younger than me. And I was 27 now at this time, 4 years removed from attempting my life. And when Dustin came into my life, he was having some struggles, opiates, with addiction, drugs, alcohol. He was a father of 2 and just got married. And he was going through all these things that I realized I was going through at the time of my life when I tried to attempt it. And I never said anything to him. And the more that he called me and the more private talks we had and the further down the hole I realized he was going, the more fearful I got to share, open up about anything that I was going through with him. Finally, in 2014, January of 2014, Dustin called me and I ignored his call. I let it go to voicemail. I listened to it and it's Dustin on the phone crying. And Dustin is saying, Marshall, give me a call back when you get this. I really need to talk to you. All right, I love you late. I was like, all right, I'll call him back tomorrow. Tomorrow turned in, I'll call him back this weekend. This weekend is like, I'll call him back soon. A month passed and I get a call from his sister at 4:30 in the morning that Dustin has took his life. And I was 27 at the time. And in that moment, I was nothing. I was a career drug addict, 5-time college dropout. I had nothing going in my life. I'd wasted every single opportunity. Like, for all intents and purposes, I was no good for anything or anybody. I was bartending in San Diego at the time. But I realized if I had just told my story to Dustin, what may have happened? Like, what may have happened if I would have opened up and told Dustin how I was feeling and how much regret I had in the moment that I actually tried to take my life. When I ingested everything I did and I realized I couldn't get it out, the instant regret that I didn't want to die is what I felt. And I thought, man, if I'd ever opened up and told Dustin about that, would he have still done the same thing? Now, the reason I'm telling you this is because that's essentially where my story as Marshall Live starts at the age of 27. I realized there had to be a better way, and I realized that my story needed to be heard. Except in our society, we're taught that if I'm telling my story, I must be bragging about myself, or I must be looking for pity, or I must be, looking for something. And so I think a lot of times, first and foremost, as leaders, we're not really conditioned to share the stories and the things that we've been through. But I met a mentor who taught me what I just told you guys in the beginning of this talk. Your mess is your message. And how can we take the mess of the worst thing that's ever happened to us and position it in a way that shows the old version of Marshall, hey, man, I know what you're going through right now sucks. And I know you think that you'll never make it. But what if you could? And what would your ideal life look like if you did? And so I've spent the last now 11 years of my life honing in on that skill and helping people tell their story. So now let's bring it back to us here at EXP and why that story matters to you. I'm telling you this because it's my story, but it's not a story about me. It's a story about all of you. And where do you find yourself in the story when you hear mine? Meaning, what is that greatest mess that you've ever been through? The way that Eli explains EXP to me is it sounds like you guys are building a pretty awesome team. And it sounds like it's bigger than just yourselves. I bet a lot of you, and we're all in different seasons. I know Eli would agree because the season he is in is advanced, right? He's lived through some seasons. Now he's coming into some really great seasons from his hard work, from his sacrifice and his dedication. I say that to say all of us are going to be in different seasons on this call, but you're eventually going to get to a point when you realize there's no amount of money or deal that you're going to close or make that's going to make you feel whole and complete. In 2019, I was about to have my first $1 million year. I had been in business now for 5 years on my own. We had just helped our clients make over $50 million at the time. It was 2019. I walk into San Diego into my 21st floor penthouse overlooking the Pacific Ocean right downtown. Everything I'd worked so hard for, spoken on stage with some of the most famous speakers in the world, getting incredible results. And I realized in that moment that I'd never been more unhappy than I'd ever been in my entire life. And I tell you that again to reinforce the fact that no matter what season you're in, there's going to come a time when the fulfillment you seek is only going to be validated through helping other people. So what we're doing, what you guys are doing here with EXP is great. I love all the things, but really the real question becomes now, how can we give back? How do we, I think Tony Robbins says, reach one and teach one, right? Like, how do I take the step up and then reach down and grab my brothers and sisters and make sure they're coming up to my own level? Now, the way that I discovered to do that by accident was to tell my story. And that's what we're going to start here with some
Lost them.
We lost your sound at the worst time. We lost your sound.
If you're talking to me,
Now
I can't hear you.
Oh,
we can hear you now. We can't. No.
Are we frozen or are we good? You can't hear me? Okay. Okay, sorry everybody. I thought Eli was giving some hand signals. I wasn't versed in those yet. So the reason I want to talk about this today is I want to talk about personal branding. That's why I give you all that context to build it up. Since then, since I've built my personal brand, I've literally been able to travel the world. I've been able to be in some of the highest rooms with some of the highest paid people learning the best information. I've been able to give back tens of thousands of dollars. I can't wait until that's hundreds of thousands of dollars and eventually millions of dollars. But I've been able to fulfill my dreams. Literally, I'm sitting here on this talk with all of you who are probably a lot smarter than me. And I'm in a pair of Crocs and a pair of shorts, all because I built a personal brand. All right. I make multiple 5 figures a month just from a personal brand, from literally telling my story online. And this is where I want you guys to write these things down. So let's talk about what a personal brand is. I'm going to give you guys some high level stuff here. A personal brand is two things. Actually, before I go any further, does anybody have any questions? Any questions of anything I said? I haven't taught you guys anything yet, so I don't know why you would. I just want to make sure I stop. I talk fast and I want to make sure I respect your time. Okay, cool. So context, let's talk about why you're going to want to build a personal brand and why you should learn to tell stories. Because you want to be able to create 3 things in life: impact, influence, and income. The 3 I's. If I can create impact, influence, and income, I can live my dream life and accomplish all the things that I want. The best way that I found to create impact, influence, and income is by creating a personal brand, which means I lead with my story. I want to tell my audience something every day via my social media content that makes me relatable. So one of the mistakes that I see people make in business when they're trying to build a personal brand and they're trying to create themselves as a person of influence and impact, they think all the time they got to talk business, 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 business. I got to talk about business, okay? That it couldn't be further from the truth. I talk about straight business on my personal social media channels maybe 10% of the time. The other 90% of the time, what I'm doing to my audience is I'm reinforcing the lifestyle that I live. Okay, now I live in Montana. Like, I'm an outdoors dude. Okay, I am like preparing for the collapse of the world and teaching people all these things. Now, I'm not saying that you have to be like me, but you're not going to see me balling out in a penthouse in Miami with a Lamborghini. That's just not me. I don't have anything against that, but that's not me. I'm about being a loving father, a loving partner. And again, I'm not saying that, I'm not suggesting that these are things you have to be. I'm telling you, I found who I am and I highlight it via social media by telling stories. The fact that I got on here and I'm telling you some stupid story about how my eyes are all red because I'm so tired, but I'm still willing to get up and do the things I'm willing to do. What I'm saying to you without saying it is, man, he's just like me. He's a hustler. Oh, he doesn't sugarcoat it. He's honest. And I'm telling you all these things without telling you all these things simply by telling you a story. The reason that I can create influence and impact and income from telling stories is because of the way that I've positioned and framed my personal brand. Now, again, your personal brand is 2 things. Your personal brand is identity and perception. Okay? So I'm going to bring this all together in the last 12 minutes that we have. We've talked about 3 things. First off, we've talked about 2 things. I want to have a personal brand so I can create impact, influence, and income. And the way that I'm going to build my personal brand is by focusing on the perception that my audience has of me and the identity that I'm creating. That's all personal branding is. That's all branding is in general. Branding pre-sells your offer. Maybe you sell sweatshirts. Maybe you sell crazy mugs. Maybe you sell awesome properties on the beach in freaking Puerto Rico. But whatever it is, my personal brand is pre-selling my offer. When I started off in business, I sucked at sales. Actually, I didn't suck at sales. I feared rejection, so I never asked for them. So I got really, really good at getting people to come to me and sell without selling. And eventually I learned how to stand on a stage and sell one to many. And I've used the story and the power to create influence from storytelling and personal branding to generate sales. The same exact thing I've taught my clients to build 9 figures. So if we want to create impact, influence, and income, we've got to create a personal brand. And that personal brand has to create an identity that gets our audience to perceive us in a certain way. Now, the way that we create that brand is through brand storytelling. And we live in a digital age. I don't know how many of you have heard this before, right? But if you ever watch any Gary Vee or Gary Vaynerchuk, he preaches this all the time, right? The mobile phone is now the new television. Okay. And the channels on that television, the ABC, NBC, CBS, MTV, ESPN, all those channels now are just Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn. So the real question I want to ask all of you is, if a TV producer came to you this afternoon on Friday and they're like, hey, we want to feature you on our TV channel every Friday afternoon from 2 to 2:30. What do you want to talk about? Like, you would be ecstatic. You would call up Eli. You'd be like, bro, you have no idea. Like, I'm taking EXP big time, man. I'm on TV. And you would freak out. Yet most of us don't treat the opportunity that we have on our mobile phone the exact same way. And so all I did was take a look at this mobile phone and I said, if I can create a platform through my personal brand that gets all the attention of my ideal avatar, how can I then use that and capitalize on it? And so what I got really, really good at is telling stories. So I'll tell you the 4 P's of my process. There's 4 P's that I focus on with my clients. There's 4 phases when we start working together. Our 4 P's are purpose, packaging, presentation, and profit. Okay, so I just told you that storytelling and your message. I just told you, when we learn how to share stories vulnerably and powerfully, that's the game changer. So first and foremost, everything is fueled by your ability to tell a vulnerable story. And what I mean by that, and I wish I had more time to explain it to you guys in depth, but what I mean by that is I could just act like my eyes aren't all red and bloodshot. I could have gotten on and just gone. I put some eye drops in. You guys never would have known, right? But I like to build relatability through vulnerability by making myself real. And so all kinds of messes in life, they come in different micro and macrocosms. It's a micro or macro, right? Every feeling is a micro macro of itself. And so what I mean is, okay, well, if I spill this coffee, I'm going to feel pretty bummed, right? You know what it's like to feel bummed, whether you spill this coffee, stub your toe, or your dog dies. Now, obviously, if your dog dies, it's probably more than just spilling a cup of coffee. But the point of it is oftentimes human beings, we worry too much about details and forget that foundationally emotions are all the same. So if I'm tired because it's been a long week and I've been selling houses or trying to sell houses, and now I have to hop on my team call, does your tiredness really differ from mine if I had to drive 4.5 hours last night to pick up a VIP client in the snow and got a couple hours sleep? It doesn't. So all of a sudden now we're relatable in this moment. And all I'm doing with my personal brand, or anytime I'm on stage, or anytime I'm doing a training, or anytime I'm on a podcast, is I want to think about, what is the audience that I'm speaking to? How are they feeling right now in this moment? And how can I find a story from the time I was born to right now in my life, or anywhere in between, where I also felt that same emotion that my audience may be feeling today, select that story, talk about that emotion, and then throw it back to them. Hey, how many of you guys feel tired on this call today? Oh, yeah? How many of you showed up anyways for your dreams? Yeah, me too. So what I just said to all of you without saying to you is, hey, I'm just like you, so you can trust me. Okay, so let's go back to the personal branding and the 4 Ps. Where are we at? Okay, cool. 6 minutes. Okay, so if we're going to build a personal brand and learn to tell vulnerable stories, this is the way to create impact, influence, and income. We use our social media channels as a TV channel to promote the show that we're creating. So the first part that I teach my people is purpose. What is the purpose that you exist for? If you don't have a mission statement yet and you don't know your core values, I would put that at the top of my to-do list. I tell my clients this all the time. You absolutely in life, I don't care if you're a business owner or not, cannot live a day of your life without a mission statement, because life is like the ocean. Sometimes it's nice and calm and beautiful, and sometimes the waves and the swells are so high and the storm is so bad you literally can't see which direction you're going. You need to be able to look up in the sky and know that your mission statement is like your North Star that's always leading you home. My mission statement's I'm on a mission to save lives with the power of vulnerability and storytelling. So I'm telling you all that to tell you that if you can find your purpose, that then drives your expertise. Learn how to package your expertise, which sounds like you guys' expertise in this group is real estate and real estate investing. So how do you package that expertise to be able to help the old version of you? It's not just by selling houses, it's by getting them on your team. So how through your daily content or every opportunity you have to be on a podcast or a stage, how can you then fulfill your purpose by packaging your expertise to help people? The third P is in presentation. So presentations come in all different forms. Presentations could be a training just like this. Where are we at? 5 minutes. It could be a podcast that you do your own. I do a show called Marshall. It's a live show. That's how my brand got built, Marshall Live. And I interview people like Eli live on social media. And then I post it on podcast. Point is, it's a presentation every time I do it. I have an event coming up in May. That's a presentation. And then how will I profit from that? And so when you can figure out those 4 Ps, your purpose, how to package your expertise, how to present and where to present that expertise, and then how to profit from that, those are the 4 things of a personal brand. And that's how we've built, literally those 4 Ps are how I've built over 9 figures, $125 million for my clients and counting, just by helping them identify what is your mess, how do you turn that mess into your purpose, how do you turn that purpose into a package that you can sell, that package, where do you present it at, and then how do you profit from that? I'm wearing a hoodie from another group I'm part of called Thrive. It says, make money matter. We believe in making our money matter. If we're entrepreneurs, I consider us superheroes. So if we have a superhuman ability to go out and make money, how can we use that superhuman ability to go out and help other people? So if you need $1 million to live your dream life, how can you use your superhuman ability to go out and make $2 million, give $1 million away and keep $1 million to live your dream life? And that's what I exist for, is helping people learn how to turn that mess into their message, how to make their money matter, and how to go out and impact the world in a way that's meaningful and fulfilling to them. I know I just kind of threw a lot at you guys. Does anybody have any questions before we hop off? I want to be respectful of Eli's time and the container that he's created here.
No, I want to make sure that everybody has your contact information too. If anybody has questions, drop it on the.
I can't hear you, Eli. Maybe it's just my.
Can anybody hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so everybody hears me but Marshall. Only Marshall doesn't hear me. That sucks.
Oh, yeah, only I don't hear him. I don't know why. It's weird.
So he probably doesn't hear anybody. Marshall, do you hear anyone?
Oh, hello.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
yeah.
Dude, my fiance just left in the car and my phone connected to her car. I'm like, what is going on here?
That's funny. That's funny. No wonder. It's happened to me all the time too. Okay, so we can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, so I just want to make sure everybody has your where to follow you. If you want to share that, or we can share it later on the group where I shared the link. But wish sure everybody can follow you. You want to share contact information to reach you later on, because I know we only had 30 minutes, and these meetings that are only 30 minutes, they kind of feel rushed sometimes, because when the value starts coming up, the last 15 minutes when everything kind of gets really good, I know you get kind of cut off. So I hate that, but we do have to we have a time limit. But so I'll share your contact information with them later on. And
Cool.
then I just wanted to thank you. This was really good. I think my big takeaway was that this is our production company. And sometimes we
100%.
forget, this is our camera guy, this is our editor, our production guy, this is our production crew, this is our, and then seeing Facebook and TikTok, I just wrote it down as my, SNBC, MSNBC, my CNN, my Fox, that's huge, man, because those are my channels, right? And I think we take that for granted sometimes on building a message. And I'm pretty good about being authentic and relatable. I'm just not purposeful about it. So I think if I got a little more purposeful, my income would exponentially grow, because in the end, into profit, right? It's that presentation and how I turn it into profit. So I thought it was really good, man. Thank you so much for spending time with us. If anybody has questions or comments, do it now. I know we're kind of out of time, and we got to generate.
Just go, you guys, whatever your favorite social media platform is, just go search Marshall Live. You'll find me. Just add me. I'm a real person. DM me. Like, let's be friends. Like, let's get to know each other. But I really appreciate Eli. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys. Have a great weekend.